Imagine a country where the very idea of the extraordinary becomes ordinary, where tales of the bizarre and the wondrous intertwine seamlessly into everyday life. Have you ever pondered what might be happening in a land that boasts a prison for polar bears, an actual facility designed to contain these majestic yet formidable creatures? Or considered a place where wives were once offered as tokens of hospitality, a tradition long gone but still echoing through history? Or perhaps you've heard of a nation where runways and landing strips have been built not for commercial airlines but for unidentified flying objects, mysterious visitors from the skies whose origins remain unclear. This is Canada, a land where the astonishing is part of the fabric of daily existence. From the rich and fascinating traditions of the Inuit people, rooted in ancient customs and survival skills honed over countless generations, to the marvels of modern engineering and scientific achievement, Canada is a place where the impossible often becomes commonplace. It's a vast and varied landscape, a realm of extremes and contradictions, where nature's fiercest elements coexist with human ingenuity. Canada's immense size makes it the second largest country in the world by land area. Its vast expanses stretch endlessly, with wilderness and tundra covering most of its northern regions. Despite this enormous scale, the country's population is surprisingly sparse, so few that all of its inhabitants could comfortably fit within the borders of California, leaving countless stretches of untouched space behind. The very name Canada originates from the word Kanata, a term from the indigenous Iroquois language meaning settlement or village, a testament to the land's original inhabitants. Yet much of this expansive territory remains a stark, desolate wilderness, largely untouched by modern development. In the far northern reaches of Canada, the climate is brutally cold, with winter temperatures often plunging below -30 degrees Celsius. The relentless cold has shaped the history and daily life of these regions in profound ways. The permafrost, permanently frozen ground, has created scenes that seem more fitting for a horror story than reality, with its icy grip holding everything in place. During winter, the ground beneath many northern Canadian communities becomes so frozen that digging a grave becomes an almost impossible task. The layer of permafrost is harder than concrete, a natural barrier that has, throughout history, posed significant challenges to the living and the dead alike. In the past, when someone passed away in these cold northern towns, places like Yellowknife, Kuujjuaq, or communities across Manitoba, their bodies could not be buried until the ground thawed in the warmer months. For generations, residents had to store the deceased in garages, basements, or other cool, sheltered places during the long winter months, patiently waiting for summer when the earth softened enough to allow proper burial. Today, modern refrigeration units have alleviated some of these hardships, providing a practical solution that allows for year-round preservation of the dead. Still, this practice remains a stark reminder of how the environment has dictated the rhythm of life in Canada's northernmost regions for generations. Permafrost influences every aspect of life in northern Canada. It affects construction techniques, limiting the types of buildings that can be erected without risking collapse, and shapes agricultural practices, or rather the lack thereof, in these frozen landscapes. Even simple human activities, such as digging, planting, or building, are complicated by the icy ground beneath. When constructing a building, engineers must design foundations carefully, ensuring that heat is not transferred downward, which could melt the permafrost and cause the structure to sink or topple. Every winter, the entire northern zone is sealed beneath a thick shell of ice, with temperatures that have sometimes fallen to historic lows well below 0 degrees Celsius. Yet these stark, cold conditions give way to a dramatically different scene in the summer months. Summer in the north is fleeting but surprisingly warm and inviting. The brief, bright months see temperatures rising above 86 degrees Fahrenheit or 30 degrees Celsius, providing a respite from the harsh winter cold. The change of season transforms the landscape into a vibrant, lively place where ice gives way to lush greenery and the sun lingers longer in the sky. This seasonal paradox, harsh winters followed by short, pleasant summers, adds to the mystique of Canada's vast territories. Moving further south in provinces such as Ontario and British Columbia, the climate becomes more temperate. Here, the temperatures regularly climb above 86 degrees Fahrenheit or 30 degrees Celsius, creating a more familiar, hospitable environment. These regions enjoy a milder climate, which allows for diverse agriculture and a more settled way of life, contrasting sharply with the extreme cold and isolation of the Northern Territories. Among the many intriguing facets of Canadian life, one finds a paradox. The nation is renowned for its progress, technological innovation, and modern infrastructure. Yet, it also preserves some of the most traditional communities in the world, such as the Amish. This group, mostly residing in Ontario, adheres to beliefs and customs that seem to have been transported from. During this period, young members of the community often find themselves in a unique situation where they are permitted to explore and indulge in activities that are strictly forbidden in their everyday lives. This includes experimenting with modern technology, donning contemporary clothing, attending lively parties, and even trying alcohol and stimulants. Such experiences serve as a rare, sanctioned taste of freedom, a brief escape from the strict confines of their traditional society. It is almost as if they are granted a fleeting sip of liberation, a momentary break from the rigid rules that govern their existence. However, this freedom comes with a heavy price. Should they choose not to return after these excursions, they risk severing all ties with their families, effectively being erased from their lives as if they had never existed. The community's response to such choices is uncompromising. The consequences are severe enough to deter many. Yet remarkably, despite the harshness of these penalties, more than 90% of young people do eventually come back, choosing to be baptized into the community once again. Imagine the strength of conviction it takes to experience the allure and comfort of the modern world, even after having tasted its temptations, and then to willingly abandon those pleasures in favor of a simpler, more traditional life. It is a testament to the deep-rooted bonds and values that hold the community together, making the decision to return a powerful act of commitment. Interestingly, this dedication is not the only tradition they uphold. Many practices have been carefully preserved over generations. For instance, they engage in a form of courtship known as bundling, a practice during which young couples spend the night together yet remain fully clothed. They are separated by a board or a blanket, creating a controlled environment for their interaction. This method allows for companionship and emotional connection while maintaining modesty and adherence to their community's standards. Additionally, Amish men only grow beards after they are married, a visible symbol of their marital status. This tradition makes it easy for everyone to recognize their family roles at a glance. Furthermore, they consciously avoid wearing buttons, which they associate with vanity, and historically with military uniforms, considering them improper adornments for their humble lifestyle. Their customs reflect a deep respect for humility and simplicity, values that continue to shape their daily existence. Turning our gaze to another Indigenous community in Canada, the Inuit people, reveals a different set of traditions that can also seem startling to outsiders. Often mistakenly called Eskimos, a term derived from the Algonquian language meaning eaters of raw meat, it is now recognized as offensive and outdated. The appropriate and respectful term is Inuit, which means the people in their native language. Their customs are rooted in a way of life shaped by the formidable conditions of the Arctic. For example, traditional Inuit hospitality is remarkably different from Western notions of guest treatment. If a visitor arrived at an Inuit family's home, the host might offer his wife to the guest for the night as a sign of profound respect and generosity. This gesture was not driven by romantic or personal motives, but rather served as a cultural act of community bonding and mutual aid. It was a way of demonstrating trust and the importance of sharing resources essential for survival in such a harsh environment. To someone unfamiliar with this custom, such an offer might seem shocking or inappropriate, yet within their cultural context, it carried deep spiritual and social significance. If I were in that situation, I admit I would find it difficult to refuse such an offer, as refusal could be seen as an insult and might cause serious social repercussions. At the same time, women within the community had their own agency and choice in these matters. The practice often intertwined with spiritual beliefs, overseen by a shaman known as an angak, who acted as an intermediary between the human and spirit worlds. These shamans performed rituals for healing, protection, and guidance, playing a vital role in maintaining the spiritual health of the community. The Inuit also engaged in ritual partner exchanges, but only for religious and spiritual purposes and always under the supervision of their leaders. These rites of passage, involving partner changes, were not casual but deeply rooted in millennia-old traditions that prioritized survival, cooperation, and spiritual harmony. The sharing of companionship and resources in such a communal manner was crucial in their harsh environment, where mutual dependence often meant the difference between life and death for the entire group. These customs, shaped by necessity and spiritual belief, have persisted through the ages as enduring symbols of resilience and unity. Moving from ancient traditions to the realm of modern innovation, one cannot help but marvel at some of the extraordinary developments in recent years. For instance, have you ever wondered what it would be like to sleep on a bed entirely made of ice? In Quebec, such an experience is available at Hôtel de Glace, the only ice hotel in all of North America. This extraordinary structure is a testament to human ingenuity and the desire to blend natural elements with comfort and artistry. Each winter, the hotel is meticulously constructed from blocks of ice and packed snow, transforming into a shimmering ephemeral. Each year, the construction of this extraordinary structure demands an astonishing amount of resources, with over 500 tons of ice and 15,000 tons of compacted snow meticulously gathered and shaped. This impressive edifice is rebuilt anew every spring as the relentless warmth causes it to melt away, only to be reconstructed with the same dedication and effort in the subsequent year. Inside, the temperature is carefully regulated to hover around -5 degrees Celsius, creating a chilling yet comfortable environment that feels almost like stepping into a frozen wonderland. Visitors sleep soundly in specialized Arctic sleeping bags designed to insulate against the cold, resting on beds carved directly from solid blocks of ice, which shimmer and glisten in the subdued lighting. Here, cocktails are served in glasses made entirely of ice, adding a touch of elegance and novelty to the experience. An enchanting aspect of this icy retreat is the possibility of exchanging vows and celebrating love in an ice chapel, where even the seats are sculpted from snow blocks, creating a surreal and magical setting for a wedding ceremony. Despite the extreme conditions, perhaps even because of them, this remarkable hotel draws more than 100,000 visitors each year, who journey from all corners of the globe to spend a night on the eternal ice and to witness the extraordinary craftsmanship that keeps this frozen marvel alive. But Canadians' relationship with ice extends far beyond mere architecture and tourism. Every year, as the clock strikes midnight on New Year's Eve, thousands of Canadians participate in the Walrus Swim, an exhilarating tradition where brave souls plunge into water that is scarcely above 0 degrees Celsius, welcoming the new year with a daring splash. This event is far from a reckless stunt. It is a carefully organized celebration that embodies resilience and community spirit. In Ontario alone, the The proceeds from these icy dives surpassed $300,000 Canadian in 2023, all directed toward charitable causes. Participants, many of whom are first-timers, often receive certificates of participation, badges, and sometimes even warm embraces from plush teddy polar bears, symbolizing the spirit of bravery and camaraderie. These swims take place in major urban centers such as Toronto, Vancouver, and Ottawa, attracting tens of thousands of spectators and participants eager to test their limits against nature's icy challenge. For many, immersing themselves in the freezing water serves not only as a physical feat, but also as a natural remedy, an action vitamin of sorts that can improve sleep, alleviate stress, and bolster the immune system. It is an invigorating ritual that celebrates endurance, community, and the invigorating power of cold. If you have listened to these stories up to this point, it indicates that you find them intriguing, and for that, we are truly pleased. Please take a moment, just 5 seconds, to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you won't miss any future tales of wonder. Now let us turn our attention to one of the most peculiar and fascinating aspects of Canada's unique approach to justice, its most extraordinary prison. Canada boasts the world's only correctional facility specifically designed for polar bears. Located in the remote town of Churchill in the province of Manitoba, approximately 1,000 kilometers north of Winnipeg, residents are faced with an unusual challenge: an extraordinary number of polar bears encroaching upon their community. The population of Churchill is fewer than 900 people, yet during certain seasons, the region can host up to 10,000 polar bears, making the town a bustling winter habitat for these majestic animals. When these bears wander into the city in search of food, residents do not panic, but instead call a special hotline dedicated to wildlife control. Trained wildlife officers respond promptly, armed with rocket launchers or rubber bullets, aiming to scare the bears away without causing harm. In extreme cases where these methods fail, the bears are euthanized and transported to a dedicated facility, an unusual correctional institution that was once a hangar for military aircraft. This facility contains 28 cells, each roughly 3.6 meters by 4.8 meters, specially designed to house the bears temporarily. During their stay, which typically lasts about 30 days, the bears are provided only with snow and water, carefully managed to prevent them from associating the city with a source of food, thereby discouraging future visits. Since polar bears in their natural environment are capable of surviving long periods without food, this limited diet does not harm their health, but helps reinforce the message that the city is not a feeding ground. After their brief incarceration, the bears are transported, usually by helicopter, to a remote wilderness area where they are tagged and monitored for scientific and conservation purposes. Repeat offenders are kept longer, ensuring they understand that the city is off-limits, and their visits are discouraged through these humane yet firm measures. The existence of a city where polar bears are arrested, tried, and imprisoned might sound like the plot of a children's fairy tale or a whimsical story from a fantasy book, but in reality, it is a critical part of wildlife management and conservation in one of the planet's most remote and fragile environments. This remarkable practice exemplifies how humanity has, along the expansive stretch of the 4,860 miles that make up the Trans-Canada Highway, a remarkable feat of engineering has been accomplished, one that aims not merely to facilitate transport, but to protect and preserve life itself. The government has meticulously constructed a network of 44 crossings, each uniquely designed not for the convenience of human travelers, but to serve the needs of the wildlife that inhabit these vast regions. Among these are 6 impressive green, elevated bridges which soar above busy roads, offering animals a safe passage from one natural habitat to another without the risk of collision with speeding vehicles. In addition, there are 38 underground tunnels discreetly carved beneath the roadway, acting as secure conduits for creatures seeking to cross the highway unseen and undisturbed. These pathways are unmarked by signs, free of traffic signals and devoid of instructions, yet their effectiveness is evident. Each year, the countless cameras installed along these crossings record more than 150,000 animal movements, capturing a silent testament to their frequent use. It is astonishing to note that species as diverse as bears, moose, deer, wolves, and even turtles instinctively recognize and utilize these passages. This carefully crafted network has had a profound impact, reducing animal vehicle encounters by roughly 80%. Such a decline has not only saved thousands of animal lives, but has also considerably diminished the risk of human injuries and fatalities resulting from collisions. What makes this achievement truly extraordinary, however, is the way animals seem to remember the precise locations of these crossings. They pass this vital knowledge from generation to generation, ensuring that their offspring are just as familiar with these safe routes as their parents. Over time, entire generations have come to regard these specific paths as safe corridors, creating a legacy of migration routes that previously never existed. This intuitive behavior has transformed the landscape of wildlife movement in the region, establishing enduring pathways that foster coexistence between humans and animals. So successful has this program been that other nations, including Germany, the Netherlands, the United States, India, and Thailand, are now studying the Canadian model in hopes of replicating its benefits at home. The engineering solutions involved are so impressive, so groundbreaking, that NASA has even captured images of these crossings from space, and they are now featured in textbooks on environmental engineering around the world. Canada has not merely addressed the problem, it has established a pioneering blueprint for harmonious coexistence, inspiring a global movement toward innovative conservation strategies. Turning to the realm of law, Canada presents a fascinating mixture of progressiveness and enigma. Its legal landscape is filled with laws that are both forward-thinking and, at times, perplexing in their contradictions. Consider, for example, the case of legalized stimulants. Canada stands as only the second country in the entire world, and the first among the G7 nations, to fully legalize the recreational use of certain substances across the entire country. Since October of 2018, adults have been permitted to carry up to 30 grams of these substances in public, and they are also allowed to cultivate plants at home solely for personal use. The government introduced this legislation with the intent of reducing crime associated with illegal drug markets and to shield minors from access to such substances, hoping that regulation and legalization would lead to a safer environment overall. On the surface, this policy appears clear and straightforward, yet Canada's stance on other social issues reveals a surprising web of contradictions. For instance, adult services, such as certain forms of personal entertainment, are entirely legal within the country. However, it is strictly forbidden to pay for these services. To reiterate, performers can advertise and legally offer their work, but clients who seek to engage them face the risk of severe punishment, with sentences ranging from 18 months up to 5 years behind bars. The authorities justify this seemingly paradoxical law by claiming that it treats the individuals involved as victims rather than criminals, aiming to protect them from exploitation and harm. Critics, however, argue that this approach only complicates matters and potentially increases danger for everyone involved. Imagine a scenario where the service itself is legal, yet the clients who use it are deemed criminals. It's as if restaurants were permitted to serve food openly, but eating in them was prohibited, an absurd contradiction that fuels ongoing legal battles and heated debates. Many believe such laws do not truly serve to protect individuals, but instead create a precarious grey area, leading to numerous lawsuits and public discourse about whether this legal framework genuinely safeguards those it intends to shield. Meanwhile, in Montreal, a spectacle of organized chaos unfolds each year as more than 100,000 residents participate in what is famously known as Moving Day. On this single day, always occurring on July 1st, Canada Day, the entire city seems to shift and transform in a whirlwind of activity. Entire households pack up their belongings, load trucks and vans, and relocate their lives to new addresses, all within a span of just 24 hours. The city streets become a hive of bustling movement, a well-rehearsed dance of chaos and order, as people navigate the logistical challenge of moving en masse. This annual event, residents often undertake the monumental task of moving their entire lives from one address to another, transforming what might seem like a routine activity into a vibrant, bustling spectacle. On the streets during this busy period, it is common to see refrigerators securely strapped onto bicycles, their metal frames balancing carefully as they glide along crowded sidewalks. Sofas, too, often slide precariously along the pavement, pushed by determined movers, navigating narrow streets filled with activity. In addition, towers of books are neatly stacked within the confines of baby strollers, creating portable mini-libraries that are carried from one home to the next. Every truck available for moving purposes is fully booked, their schedules filled to capacity. Rental equipment, such as dollies, moving blankets and boxes, quickly disappear from stores as people scramble to secure the tools they need. Meanwhile, the number of pizza orders surges dramatically, a reflection of the fatigue felt by the exhausted carriers who, after long hours of heavy lifting, crave a quick, comforting snack. What is truly remarkable, however, is that despite this apparent chaos, the entire operation functions with remarkable efficiency, like a well-oiled machine. People prepare for this day with almost the solemnity and anticipation of a holiday. They arrange their belongings, coordinate schedules, and even decorate their new homes in a festive manner. This is no coincidence. It is a tradition that has grown over the years, rooted in a time when most peace agreements in Montreal concluded on the same day, creating a mass migration. Over time, this collective movement evolved into a colorful, vibrant ritual, an annual event that has become an integral part of the city's cultural fabric. It embodies a shared sense of community and resilience, transforming what could be a stressful ordeal into a celebration of change and new beginnings. Turning our gaze to the natural environment, Canada's ecological extremes and commitment to cleanliness are equally striking. The country's environmental performance is as remarkable as its vast landscapes. Canada ranks third globally in terms of air quality, surpassed only by Estonia and Mauritius. This achievement is no accident. It is the result of the country's extensive natural resources and conscientious policies. Over 31% of Canada's landmass is covered by forests, making up more than 10% of the world's forests. These enormous green expanses act as natural air filters, producing oxygen that is noticeably purer and fresher than in most other parts of the world. The air Canadians breathe is a gift of nature's own design, a pristine quality that sets their environment apart. Yet, Canada's ecological extremes extend beyond just air quality. The country shares the world's longest international border with the United States, stretching approximately 5,525 miles across an entire continent. Within its borders, the city of Toronto boasts Yonge Street, officially recognized as the longest street in the world, extending approximately 35 miles. But perhaps the most astonishing fact is that back in 1967, Canada constructed the world's first UFO runway in St. Paul, a small town in Alberta province. This runway was built expressly for unidentified flying objects, and in the town, there is even a UFO museum that displays intriguing exhibits related to extraterrestrial phenomena. Whether this strip has ever been used for its intended purpose remains a mystery shrouded in speculation and curiosity. Nonetheless, its existence underscores Canada's openness to the extraordinary, an attitude that seems to embrace the possibility of the impossible. This readiness for the extraordinary perhaps explains why Canada boasts an astonishing number of airports, 1,467 in total. For a country that ranks as the second largest in the world after Russia, and only slightly smaller than the United States and Brazil, this extensive network of airports reflects a nation prepared for any eventuality, whether it involves routine travel or potential extraterrestrial visitors. It seems that the hospitable nature of this vast land extends even to the cosmos, with a continent-sized country that has allocated its own airfields as a precautionary measure for visitors from beyond Earth. Central to Canadian culture is the iconic coffee phenomenon associated with Tim Hortons. The image of Canadians standing patiently in the cold, queuing up for a $1 cup of coffee at a Tim Hortons outlet is not merely a stereotype but a deeply ingrained cultural phenomenon. This chain of over 4,000 establishments across the country has become a symbol of national identity. In many cities, it's so ubiquitous that if you close your eyes and walk in any direction, you will soon find yourself in front of a Tim Hortons. Locals affectionately refer to it simply as Tim's, and it functions far beyond being just a place to grab a caffeine fix. It is a communal hub, an informal gathering spot where people connect, chat, and share their daily lives. On average, Canadians consume about 3 cups of coffee each day, placing their nation among the world's leaders in coffee consumption. This daily ritual forms an integral part of their social fabric, a shared experience that bonds communities and sustains their busy, often chilly lives. But the allure of these establishments extends far beyond the simple allure of caffeine. The Tim Hortons outlets have evolved into vibrant social hubs, where the elderly, often pensioners in their 70s, gather to engage in lively debates about pressing social issues, sharing their perspectives and experiences with a warmth that transcends mere conversation. Meanwhile, local entrepreneurs and business people frequently convene within these cozy spaces to negotiate deals, often centered around the beloved donut, which remains a staple of Canadian breakfast culture. The excitement is further amplified by the popular Roll Up the Rim game, a seasonal tradition that offers participants the chance to win a wide array of prizes, ranging from a complimentary cup of coffee to luxurious automobiles. In some Canadian cities, these cafes operate overnight, opening at 10 o'clock in the evening and closing at 6 in the morning, catering specifically to the most dedicated fans who crave their iced coffee fix at all hours. This round-the-clock service has transformed the typical coffee shop into a kind of vibrant nocturnal sanctuary, an energetic, ever-awake Las Vegas of coffee houses that never truly sleeps. Moreover, Canada's unique cultural identity is vividly reflected in its culinary traditions, where the combination of rich, dark coffee paired with donuts filled with sweet maple syrup has become a national icon, more recognizable and beloved than many of Europe's traditional pastries. This pairing symbolizes the warmth, comfort, and distinctive flavor of Canadian hospitality, creating a culinary emblem that is immediately associated with the country's identity. Beyond the realm of food and social gathering, Canada also showcases extraordinary examples of environmental consciousness intertwined with artistic ingenuity. One of the most remarkable illustrations of this harmony is a stunning architectural marvel crafted entirely from waste materials, specifically more than 25,000 recycled bottles. Located on Prince Edward Island near Nova Scotia, this extraordinary structure is not merely a building, but a storybook of hope and creativity, demonstrating how discarded materials can be transformed into a work of art and a symbol of ecological responsibility. The story of this bottle chapel began in 1979 when Edward Arson, a retired electrician with a passion for sustainability, saw a postcard depicting a bottle house in California. Inspired by this vision, he dedicated 6 years of his life to collecting bottles of all kinds, soda, wine, beer, and even perfume from across the region. Patiently and meticulously, he assembled these colorful bottles into a cohesive structure that soon became both an architectural masterpiece and a testament to environmental awareness. When sunlight filters through the myriad of colored glass bottles, the chapel transforms into a dazzling crystal palace, casting a kaleidoscope of shimmering hues that rival the stained glass windows of medieval cathedrals. Edward Arsen's creative spirit did not rest there. Inspired by his initial success, he expanded his vision into an entire complex that includes a bell tower, a small chapel, a Zen garden, and a charming tea house, all constructed entirely from recycled bottles. From a distance, this entire site appears like a fairy tale village, a magical, otherworldly enclave that seems almost too fantastical to exist in reality. The entrance fee for visitors is modest, ranging from only $5 to $7 Canadian, with all proceeds dedicated to maintaining the complex and supporting innovative recycling initiatives. Over time, this extraordinary site has gained widespread popularity, attracting artists, photographers, and eco-conscious couples seeking a unique and meaningful venue for their wedding vows. Many choose to exchange their promises amidst thousands of shimmering bottles bathed in sunlight, creating memories that are as luminous and enduring as the bottles themselves. Canada's natural beauty offers an unparalleled paradise for travelers seeking unforgettable adventures and serene escapes. Begin your journey at Banff National Park, where you can luxuriate in a hot spring reaching a temperature of 100 degrees Fahrenheit, surrounded by majestic snow-capped peaks that seem to touch the sky. Marvel at the breathtaking turquoise waters of Lake Louise, whose vivid hue is a natural wonder, and spend the night at the renowned Fernie Springs Hotel, a historic retreat that once hosted members of the British royal family. Sitting over 4,500 feet above sea level, this retreat provides crisp mountain air and a tranquil atmosphere, ideal for rejuvenating both body and spirit amidst untouched natural splendor. Next, venture eastward to Quebec, often celebrated as the Little Paris of North America. Here you can immerse yourself in a timeless ambience, riding in a horse-drawn carriage along charming cobblestone streets that seem to whisper stories of centuries past. Savor a delectable French duck dish at a quaint restaurant, or sip espresso beneath the shade of a centuries-old castle that appears to have stepped right out of a classical painting. The city's architecture, culture, and cuisine evoke the romantic allure of Europe, making it a perfect destination for those seeking a taste of old-world elegance. For those with a spirit of adventure, a trip to Churchill, Manitoba is an absolute necessity. Known as the polar bear capital of the world, this remote northern town offers a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to witness these majestic creatures in their natural habitat. Imagine walking through a hotel parking lot and unexpectedly encountering a majestic polar bear leisurely ambling across the pavement, its thick white coat contrasting sharply with the urban surroundings. As you gaze upward from your balcony, the sky is alive with the swirling, shimmering ribbons of the northern lights, dancing gracefully in a kaleidoscope of colors that seem to shift and shimmer just for you. For those who cherish the wonders of nature, Vancouver Island presents a breathtaking tableau. Over 900 species of flowers bloom year-round, transforming the landscape into a vibrant tapestry of color and fragrance. Lush rainforests roar with life, their dense canopies whispering stories of ancient times, while after a leisurely walk through this verdant paradise, visitors can indulge in a regal tea party set in an opulent fairy tale-like setting where fine china and delicate pastries evoke a sense of royalty and serenity. Of course, no exploration of this magnificent land would be complete without mentioning Neagask Waterfall, a true masterpiece of natural beauty. The Canadian side of this region offers some of the most spectacular vistas in the entire world, where towering waterfalls cascade with thunderous power into crystal-clear pools below, creating a mesmerizing display of nature's raw energy. One of the most exhilarating experiences is a hornblower boat ride that takes you directly into the mist-shrouded curtain of water spray, immersing you in the roar and spray of the waterfall's mighty descent. As the day draws to a close, you can elevate your experience by dining in the Skyland Towers revolving restaurant, where you are treated to panoramic views of the city's glittering lights stretching out beneath you, all while savoring a gourmet meal that complements the spectacular scenery. Canada, renowned for its lively and diverse festivals, bursts into celebration throughout the entire year. The winter season begins with the Quebec City Carnival, the largest winter festival in the world, which spans from late January into early February. During this enchanting event, giant ice sculptures tower majestically, transforming the city into a frozen fairy tale landscape. Dazzling night parades illuminate the streets, their vibrant floats and costume performers captivating audiences of all ages. Visitors can warm themselves with a glass of hot caribou, a spicy, aromatic drink that offers comfort against the cold, and even join in the joyful dance beneath a gentle, romantic snowfall where the air is filled with laughter and music. For those seeking thrill and excitement, witnessing the canoe race across the frozen river is an unforgettable spectacle, an adrenaline-fueled event unique to Quebec, where daring sledders speed over ice in a display of skill and courage. Come summer, the magic of Canada continues to unfold. The Bouchard Gardens in British Columbia transform into a luminous wonderland every Saturday from July through early September. As dusk falls, fireworks burst in the sky, their brilliant colors reflecting on the tranquil waters below, creating a shimmering mirror of light. These pyrotechnic displays are beautifully synchronized with classical music, producing an entrancing symphony of sound and spectacle that captivates all who watch. Simultaneously in Alberta, the Edmonton Folk Festival becomes a vibrant hub of musical and cultural exchange. Here, visitors don't merely listen to folk music, they experience it firsthand. People can learn to play traditional instruments, engage with talented local artisans who craft and remake folk crafts, and immerse themselves fully in the lively, expressive spirit that defines Canadian culture. Turning to culinary delights, Canadian cuisine offers a rich tapestry of flavors and traditions. Among these, the iconic poutine stands out as a true culinary emblem, often regarded as the soul of Quebec. This hearty dish features golden French fries generously smothered in thick, savory gravy and topped with a generous layer of melting cheese curds, creating a comforting and unforgettable taste experience. For many American visitors, poutine is more than just food. It is a cultural phenomenon, a symbol of Quebec's unique identity that leaves an indelible impression on everyone fortunate enough to try it. Canada is also renowned worldwide for its pure, sweet maple syrup, an emblem of springtime when snow begins to melt and the sap flows freely. Locals do not merely pour this golden nectar over pancakes, they also craft maple syrup by collecting the sap directly from trees and boiling it down into thick, fragrant syrup, a process both labor-intensive and inspiring. This tradition fosters a profound connection between people and the land, reminding travelers of Canada's natural bounty and the effort behind each jar of syrup. Furthermore, Canadian culinary heritage includes delights like the tourteur, a traditional French-Canadian meat pie often filled with succulent salmon cooked on a cedar plank, which imparts a smoky, aromatic flavor. These dishes are as visually stunning as they are delicious, showcasing a harmonious blend of land, water, and cultural tradition. all these gastronomic treasures reveal a cuisine that celebrates harmony between nature and heritage, a reflection of a country where land, tradition, and modernity intertwine seamlessly. These 15 facets of Canadian life and landscape paint a picture of a nation that continually defies expectations. From the astonishing Canada demonstrates that reality often surpasses fiction in both its strangeness and its capacity to inspire. When we think of this vast and diverse land, it's easy to fall back on familiar stereotypes, the politeness of its people, the widespread love of maple syrup, and the breathtaking natural landscapes. However, beneath these well-worn images lies a country filled with astonishing stories and extraordinary truths that challenge our imagination. Imagine a place where polar bears are not merely creatures of the wild but serve their time in prison, their lives intertwined with human society in the most unexpected ways. Consider entire cities that can shift and relocate within a single day, moving seamlessly as if by magic, leaving behind the familiar streets and buildings only to reappear elsewhere overnight. Visualize communities where residents willingly sleep on sheets of ice, embracing the extreme cold as part of their daily routine, demonstrating resilience and adaptability that seem almost superhuman. These are not scenes from a science fiction novel. They are everyday realities in Canada, so ingrained and normalized that the citizens barely pause to recognize how extraordinary they truly are. The core of what makes Canada remarkable is not just its scenic beauty or its polite reputation, but the way its people live their lives amid these astonishing circumstances. Their everyday existence is woven with stories of the unusual and the impossible, yet they carry on with quiet acceptance and even pride. It's a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary aspects of a country are those that become invisible through familiarity, simply because they are woven into the fabric of daily life. I hope this exploration has piqued your curiosity and given you a new appreciation for the true nature of Canada. If you found this story intriguing, please take a moment to click the like button and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any future videos packed with fascinating insights. Your support encourages us to continue uncovering and sharing more remarkable stories from around the world. Be sure to check out the next video that appears on the screen. I am confident you will find it just as captivating. And don't forget to leave a comment sharing which country you would like us to explore next, as your suggestions inspire the journeys we undertake. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video.